The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. 10% off your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. 15% is the discount on legal fees for conveyancing instructions until the end of January 2022 as well. So get on that, time running out. Dan, Michael and Moscow, those two remotes today. I'm in the studio. As we do, part 2 of the show. Normally part 3, but it's a shorter show. This week we've got no preview, so we're just going to do heroes and villains right now then. First, the Ken Bates Villain of the Week award. Somebody who's really annoyed us in the last 7 days. And should we start off with the Leeds United based nominations and run through those? Well, the candidates, I'll run you through some names, then we'll pick out some highlights and lowlights. Rodrigo gets some mentions. Meslier. We've also got Roberts with quite a few. Bielsa himself. Brendan Aronson as well, not even our player yet, getting nominations for being so close and yet so far. That's actually fewer Leeds-based nominations than I might have expected, but let's have a rattle through those then.
Well, it felt like a system, as Lee Clark would say, a system failure did the game with no midfield, which I guess Rodrigo was part of that. Roger sinking feeling saying it doesn't work, it will never work. Leeds always need a Forshaw bait type player in midfield. I think we did miss Forshaw massively, actually, at the weekend. I think if he was in there, or Calvin Phillips, if you can remember. If you still remember that guy, I think one of them in there would have made a massive difference.
Rob Conlon wrote on our blog about how good Adam Forshaw was on commentary, and was saying during the last, as the clock was ticking towards stoppage time, was saying that we needed to slow down. And he was saying it's kind of counterintuitive, but the lads need to slow down what they're doing and be more careful, because they were just docking stupid balls long, and it would have been better to have him doing that on the pitch rather than just telling Bryn and Tony about it.
I think with Roberts, actually, the mistake he made that led to their goal, he manages to lose it twice, doesn't he, in the space of like 10 seconds, because he's trying to do something with it quickly. He's just trying to run forwards with it, whereas an actual midfielder there maybe looks to the side and just keeps possession for a second longer. He
tried 3 times to get it through to Rafinha. First time he turned back. Second time it bounced off a Newcastle player back to him, and then the third time they intercepted it. And so it's what he was supposed to do, send Rafinha down the wing. But I think twice should have been enough, that perhaps just a safer option would have worked.
I think Adsham probably hits the nail on the head when he says the concept of Tyler Roberts as a game changer, despite him never doing so, which is a fair point. He's not a game changer, is he? He's comes on and he's perfectly serviceable up to a point, but he's not going to really do much to sway the unbalance the game, as Marcelo Bielsa likes to say.
Does Bielsa go for game changers? I was wondering about this, because I always think, when I don't understand what Bielsa's doing, which is what I didn't understand why Gelhardt didn't come on, I always wonder why. I don't just assume he's fucking wrong. So I don't get why he did bring on Tyler Roberts instead of Gelhardt. But I was trying to think, did he bring him on to change the game, or did he bring him on because he said he took Dan James off because he'd had a booking? So it makes you think, if Dan James hadn't been booked, Dan James would have kept going because Bielsa was happy with what we were doing. So Tyler Roberts just comes in to do what Dan James is doing, the same. So it's not like game changer, go and be a hero. It's, we need to make a change to get him off. You're going to go on and do the same job. So, but when, traditionally you do game changer is kind of what you look to you think about a bench, but then we should have won it in the first hour anyway. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Well,
whether Bielsa views game changer as anybody's job, or whether it is just, was Stuart McKinstry standing up there at the end as like, you're going to be the guy who goes out and just dribbles around them all and sticks it in the top corner. And it's bizarre, not bizarre, but it's made different because we know Gelhardt can change a game, although he didn't.
On that, Craig Robertson, I guess this neatly segues into the criticism of Bielsa. Craig Robertson is pointing out that on 70 minutes when it's not working, the crowd is still behind the team. Imagine the roar if he'd have called Joffrey over at that point, but it deflated a little bit when it was Tyler over Joffrey. And actually, on a human level, I feel sorry for Tyler Roberts with that sort of thing. It can't be easy for him to shoulder that, and he is still only a young man. 23?
There were no boos or anything.
No, there never is. But
it's not like it was bad. It was just it was almost no reaction. I think when it was a reaction of, oh, okay, that's happening, is it? Right, okay, fine. Let's see. But yeah, I think the point that Adshem was making of, we can't have him as our best option from the bench. I think going forward, it feels like his time is coming to an end here, and he's had it. Obviously, got the new contract, but he's now had more than half a season to be better, and it's not really happened. So I don't really know what we do with him for the rest of this season, but I think we need to probably be looking for someone better next year.
Yeah, well, we'll have Gelhardt next year. I think at the moment Gelhardt is more romance than reality, because I think it's getting forgotten on Saturday that he did come on and he didn't touch the ball for like the first 10 minutes that he was on. He didn't really have an impact anyway. So he had that one really good run in off the left, but apart from that, the whole team had kind of gone off it anyway. But
I think what we have seen with Gelhardt, though, is that in his few appearances, he has come on and he's won penalties, he's scored a goal, he's got an assist.
Finished off that brilliant cross from Tyler Roberts at Chelsea, didn't he?
He's a little Billy Elliot, isn't he? Little Billy Elliot. Electricity.
But I think my point is he can't do everything himself, and I think there's maybe he's being bigged up beyond his actual capabilities, and I worry about him as well from there's two different kinds of pressure of like, does he need to have this kind of golden boy reputation, because there are going to be games, and we've seen games from him this season where he's not done much, and how are we going to deal with that when Gelhardt does come on and doesn't win the game for us? And it's not down, and it shouldn't be down to Gelhardt to win the game for us. It was an hour of there was 70 minutes of football before either Tyler Roberts or Joffrey Gelhardt stepped on the pitch, during which time plenty of time to score a goal.
But the point of this section, particularly when we lose, is to take some cheap shots at the opposition. So let's do that, shall we? I mean, the general idea of time wasting and shit housing gets plenty of love / hate from a variety of people. Then more specifically, we've got St. Maximin gets some jip. Ryan Fraser, another Ryan. Ryan says he was limping around like he's in Saving Private Ryan. Too many Ryans for one sentence, that. And has lost a limb when really he's just a C-bomb who abandoned Bournemouth in a relegation battle and failed upwards to a shite side with his old pal Eddie. Prick. Although he did piss off Eddie when he left Bournemouth, didn't he? A little bit. He was a little bit unhappy. John Joe Shelby gets mentions, by the way. And
on the time wasting thing, I did notice I think they went down a couple of times in the first half, and it was very obvious there was no movement on the Newcastle bench. Normally if someone kind of is down for a minute having treatment, normally someone will go out and warm up because they're thinking, oh, he's probably injured here, maybe I'll have to come on. Clearly it was part of a plan, because they were just like, no, everyone stay sat down. This is just a thing we're doing to take the sting out of it. And that was, I know they did have a couple of players go off injured, but it was telling, I thought, that there was absolutely no concern for some of their players when they were down injured, or they just hate Joe Linton.
It is a funny plot or a secondary plot of how many of their players we injured because they were trying to chase after us. Like Dummett just got so torn up or tied up by Rafinha that he ends up pulling his hamstring and going off. And that's funny. I hope it really damages them. And on the injuries, did you see Rodrigo booting the ball into the cheese wedge?
Yes.
Near the end, when yet another player went down, and he just grabbed the ball and tried to boot it as far out of the stadium as he could. I think the frustration probably got the better of Leeds. I was saying that about Llorente messing about in Newcastle's dugout trying to find a ball as well when there was another ball on the pitch and the game was going on. It's where Forshaw could have helped too, because we needed, not just because he's Scouse, but somebody to calm it down. Just calm down, lads, calm down. But nobody was calm. Should
you stop games for cramp? Because essentially, if you make the opposition have cramp, it means you've sort of done the job on them in that you've tired them out. If it was boxing, you don't say, "Oh, look at him, he's really tired. He's been hit loads here. Just give him a minute to get better. You just need to live." You've hit him too much there. Whereas because they were going down so much towards the end, you think, well, we should be allowed to play on with them. Their players just out of this game because they're too tired to play football.
I mean, that goes back to the Aston Villa Bielsa's beautiful fair play goal where what's-his-face injured himself trying to foul Liam Cooper. And then all the Villa players say, "Oh no, well no, he's down injured. You've got to. The only fair thing to do is kick the ball out." I was like, "No, it's his own stupid fault." And yeah, it's such an easy way to stop the game, and the ref needed to dish out some bookings. I don't think the refs got any nominations, in fact, but not even booking their goalkeeper. I think the only player who got a booking for time wasting was Dummett, which was because he was taking a long time to go off, getting substituted, which does nothing to stop it happening on the pitch. So he needed to be strong in the face of that.
Howlin' Rick in the comments from our TSB Plus members, he says that we are the champions of footballing morality, which I think is the right approach to take with this. Lots of annoyance towards St Maximin for diving and throwing himself around, although it did cost him when it came to the penalty, as we were saying over on propaganda. Had he not been throwing himself around and being such a moany little bitch, I think he's described as in one of these comments, then he might have got that. But was it a clear and obvious error? No.
Yes, probably was. But never mind. We lost anyway.
I wonder if the conversation on VAR was had anything to do with, well, wasn't he chasing after you, calling you every name under the sun, uppercutting the air as if he was going to chin you 10 minutes ago? Yeah, that's him. Should we give him the penalty? Nah.
Or as Luke points out, was it because he had bandages on his arms to pretend they're broken? Is what his explanation is.
On to Shelvey. Shelvey gets a few mentions. I mean, people picking out his appearance, which is, again, the cheapest of shots, but let's do it anyway.
Don't bald shame him, man. Don't bald shame him.
I'm not going to do, but there are people...
He's a lot bold. He's bolder than me, though, isn't he?
Hey, listen. A willing hamstring donor picks him out for looking like Voldemort, but at least John Joe Shelvey has an actual nose, whereas Voldemort doesn't. He's just got two little slits, hasn't he, on the front of his face? So, who's the real winner there? That's the question. And Jelly suggests he needs to F off back to Transylvania rather than floating around like a Premier League Nosferatu.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give him some credit for celebrating in front of their fans, at least. It feels like it's the first time someone scored in front of the Kop in a while and not immediately run into the corner and acted like a dick. He celebrated properly, so I guess I'm giving him some credit for that.
He also managed to get some maniac, I forget which newspaper it was, but they made the link to Gareth Southgate being at the game watching. Maybe somebody who might have unexpectedly impressed the England manager.
Wow.
How old is John Joe Shelvey now?
I think he's about 28, and also how's he going to cope in Qatar at the World Cup? I mean, it'll be bad enough. It'll be a test for him. Warm weather training in Saudi Arabia. They'll need to put a hat on him at least.
29 years now is John Joe Shelvey. At the end of February, he will be 30.
I think that's just around the same time Jack Charlton made his debut for England, and he won the World Cup. So anything can happen. He was also pretty bald, so maybe there's a storyline there.
Shelvey, the new Jack Charlton. It's the storyline none of us saw, but maybe so.
Oh, dear me. And finally, quite a personal nomination. Boney M's wife gets a nomination by Boney M. It says, my wife, every time we lose, I have to come home and pretend to be happy, because if I show any sign of being annoyed or upset, I get the classic questions. And the examples are given as, I thought Newcastle was supposed to be rubbish, why don't you support someone better, etc., etc., etc. I think, Boney M, do you not come home and pretend to be happy all the time?
I didn't even pretend to be happy. I just came home and sulked and continued sulking through Sunday, and probably still am sulking today. But
similarly, I buried it all deep down on Saturday, which is why I felt quite philosophical in the wake of it. Sunday I was annoyed. Monday, mildly irritated. Yeah, I think it's just about gone now, I think, as we sit here on Tuesday lunchtime.
Moscow, I've just been watching, has gone off to get something from the other side of his room, so I'm intrigued as to what he's coming back with.
So, it looks like a book, which won't necessarily work on the audio version, but what is that then?
It's a long-playing record.
Of what?
OEM, Oceans of Fantasy.
Oh, lovely.
99 from Oxfam. And it's gatefold. And then not only is it gatefold, it's quadruple fold. Look at that.
That's very nice. But we can't hear you now because you're behind the gatefold.
Which one of these people is Boney M's wife?
All right. Okay. I see what's happened here.
To choose from. Well, there they are.
The references to Boney M, did that come from a Q&A that we did where Moscow was discussing dancing around his room to Rasputin?
he blew his speakers to listen to Rasputin. Was where this originated.
That's
strutting around like Mick Jagger.
That's on Night Flight to Venus. It's not on this album.
Oh, thank you for the correction. Right, who's your villain of the week?
Melier did get a couple of nominations as well, we should say, for his Kevin
wrists.
for his Chris Packet wrists. It's described as and the best Bailey Peacock Farrell impression I've ever seen.
Yes,
wasn't
great, was it?
It's probably telling that he only got a couple of nominations after that, because everyone's just gone, well, he's been good generally, hasn't he? He made a couple of really good saves in the game actually as well.
It was a very poor error for this. I didn't realise how bad it was until I saw the replay of the goal. That is the only thing I've seen since of this game. I refuse to entertain the rest of it. Anyway,
there was. Moscow said on the match ball actually he thought there was a little touch, and I didn't think there was, but I think there probably was, having seen a replay, or at least there were people putting their feet near it as it was going. So he's probably second guessing.
It's all academic now. It was shit, wasn't it? I was about to say.
Our line of disagreement was more about whether he could see around his wall, and looking at it again, I think he could probably just about peer around Stuart Dallas's shoulder and see the ball, but it's not a great view of it. And then the first thing he does as Shelvey's running up is he takes 2 hops to the right behind the wall, and then the ball comes to his left.
Yeah, because actually you were saying on the match ball, weren't you, Moscow, that you want him to line the wall up on one side and then stand to the other side of it, which he did, but then it was the movement that killed him, wasn't it? Because he had to change direction twice.
He was really on the line. I think you'd have wanted him. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would have thought you'd start about another, like a step further to the left and get a better view of what was happening. But then whatever view he had, he lost it in the run up by moving to his right. I think he expected Shelvey to be dinking it over to his right hand corner. Instead, it went low to the left post. So he got. He got done, but I think the only thing you'd say about Melier is that's 2 free kicks now that you've looked at him and you think you could do better, but it's kind of, if that's the one thing that needs improving in his game, it's pretty easy to do. So.
Marcus Abad, get on it. That's what we're saying. Right, okay, pick a villain of the week. Who is it?
Is it the concept of time? Entropy. Newcastle shuffled us all. We all got older watching that game, didn't we? So stealing our youth.
Fair enough.
It's long gone, hasn't it?
Just to keep John Joe Shelvey alive.
Fair enough. Right, let's do the Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week award now. Then somebody who's done good for us over the last 7 days. We've had a few nominations for none of the above here.
Kevin just said nope, which I enjoyed. Not doing one. Boney M. Don't need to get another LP in Moscow, but no one. Life is horrible and will be for 2 weeks until I can replace this embarrassing loss.
Stewing on it for a fortnight.
Or another horrible loss.
Yeah. And Joe simply asks, do we have to have one? Well, we don't have to, do we, if we've been that annoyed, but I'm sure we can find something. Let's go through the Leeds player nominations. And Stuart Dallas gets nominations, Daniel James, Luke Ayling, Matthias Klick, Joffe, Llorente, Cockstrike Llorente as a trio, Rodrigo, Forshaw, who else have we got then? Jackie, so quite a few.
I mean, Forshaw didn't play, did he? Which is quite an achievement. But yeah, West Ham Ralph just saying how much we missed him, and it was a good idea to get himself out for a game after his new contract, just so he could be like, there you go, that's why you needed me, even though I'm not available. Good. I've quite enjoyed the way we're going about Daniel James as well here. Kit saying, I thought it was exceptional. It's not his fault he's playing out of position, the little scum bastard. Scrooge McCutch, Dan James, the little scum bastard, was doing good running things, so that's all good. Also, people point out that he must be an annoying fucker to play against, which is very true. Did you see his foul on Dubravka? You know, the one he got booked for?
It was good. He left his leg in, didn't he?
It was quite bad.
Yeah.
It was,
I have a little... There's 2 ways with Dan James. I love him when he's putting those tackles in, but if he's just going to get booked every single time, and that one, I think it was borderline, it could have been worse, then we don't need him suspended, because then Tyler Roberts will start and then people really will get upset. So it's kind of, just maybe cool it down. His tackle on Trippier right at the start of the game was brilliant, though. Really enjoyed that one, although it did mean a 3-minute pause while they pretended the ball had gone missing.
I must admit, during the course of the game, when Dubravka went down, I thought, he's just killing a bit of time here and trying to get him booked, because that would have been in context. But no, he actually he does like a flying knee into the side of his thigh, doesn't he?
Yeah, you don't
Well
want that.
We do want
I
that.
love it. I won't love the suspension.
And his recovery run as well. Gary Furnivall points that out. It was that proper sound effects moment, wasn't it?
This is the thing. He gives us a lot playing at a striker, but then it's just finishing off the chances.
I mean, he could do
What
that
do
as
we
a
do
winger as
about
well,
it?
couldn't he? He could do the chasing down bit, I suppose. You just
But
need
not.
to.
But then he don't, because it's man to man. He's chasing down the fullback, so it's different. As the 9 has the responsibility for the 2 centre backs and the goalkeeper, so it's a different dynamic, and it seems to suit him. But it's just the finishing touches that don't suit him. But then just let the other players should just score.
Just returning to the theme of nobody winning this, the only decent candidate that Nathan could come up with was Meatloaf, who sadly left us this week. It says none of those pricks on the pitch deserve a nomination, so might as well go for the recently departed big fella.
It'd be unusual, I think, to give it to a recently deceased singer, but maybe. I think Dallas was the fallback option actually for a lot of people because Howling Brick saying with no clear and obvious hero, Stuart Dallas is the everyman hero, which is about right.
Yeah.
And we, as was pointed out as well, that he did clearly injure himself and just go, nope, it's fine, it's fine. I'll just hold my arm together for the rest of this game. Even if it is flopping about.
Did get some good feedback on my impression of Stuart Dallas on the match ball, my Northern Irish accent. Graham Smith, obviously of Northern Ireland, suggested he would report it to the police, probably as a hate crime. So that's good.
Is that good feedback, is it?
Well, over back in the villains bit, I think it's Philip who said Judi Dench gets a nomination for villainy for the worst fucking attempt ever at a Northern Irish accent. Made Dan's impression of Dallas on the match ball sound plausible, so it did.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think he'd been to see Belfast, the Kenneth Branagh film, I think it is.
Is it a comedy, that?
I wouldn't have thought so.
All right, no.
Don't think so.
Bit more gritty.
Bit grittier, probably, anyway. I've no idea. Jackie gets a nomination. Uncle Al's Service Crew is the name attached to this one. Thought he did enough in the first half. If only we had someone to finish the chances he was creating, which is fair enough. Although, of course, as Alan Shearer told us, he was firmly in the pocket of Kieran Trippier, who is the greatest Newcastle future captain you will ever see.
Let's talk about Newcastle, actually, because there was one Newcastle fan in particular at the top of the away end who got some love from Luke, who said that this person had a flag and it says on it BMX for sale, number 4, and then 42 quid, as in number 42, and then KWID, nice wheels, and a contact number. Entrepreneurial, I like it, says Luke.
That must be a reference to something. Moscow, Biker Grove, tell me who sold a BMX for 42 quid.
He's thinking Biker Grove or Likely Lads, something like that.
It seems to be a Newcastle theme that they've been taking these flags to games since, by the looks of things, 1997.
Oh, there you go.
So it's a tradition. There is a tweet from Football Away Days. Newcastle United at Monaco, 1997. BMX for sale, 42 quid, ONO, 0191 201 4900.
Very good.
So it must be a thing that they do.
Are they? I don't want to commit another Irish hate crime here because we've got another one of those Irish names that looks terrifying to me because it's got A's and I's and O's all over the place, some accents that I'm just not going to tackle.
Fiachne. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
According to Google. I did, which may also be completely wrong.
And
the surname?
Yeah. O'Brien.
You said that with such confidence and aplomb there, Michael. And either way, that person. I'm so sorry, by the way. I know we've got Irish listeners and viewers.
It's very difficult.
It is. We're just English simpletons, aren't we? We're not culturally attuned to the Gaelic names, but they want to praise the ground staff for the pitch looking good, which you'd expect so at £1.5 million or whatever it was for the grass and then the rest on top.
So grudging, Dan. Come on, they've done a good job. You can't be like, well, you bloody should have done for that money. Put your forks and spades in the bin because you've made that pitch good by cheating.
Michael.
They bought it, haven't they? It's like Man City. The success is meaninless because they spent that much.
Michael, you know your back garden, nice back garden that it is. If you'd paid, let's say, £1.5 million to have your back garden done, you'd expect your grass to look nice after what? A few months, wouldn't you?
I'd probably have moved house rather than if I had £1.5 million as opposed to spending it on a lawn.
But imagine you were given some money in this and you can only spend this on your grass. It's a special grass inheritance you've got. You've got to put your lawn and you can't spend it on anything else.
But who are you entrusting? Like, what are you spending the £1.5 million on? Is it just the grass and the turf itself? Or is it the expertise of the people to handle and install correctly your £1 million lawn? Because you could give me £1.5 million worth of grass and tell me to stick it down in Michael's back garden.
Full of dandelions within a week.
Absolute mess of it. It would be a disaster. So you've got to respect the work of the people who can take on the responsibility and have the expertise and the skill that they must have trained and worked along many years of study and experience to be able to handle a £1.5 million pitch restoration. So
yeah, don't put off the ground staff down. They've got shovels, they've got forks, and they've got a well that can throw you down. So
to be honest,
keep on the right side.
Full time on Saturday would have happily gone down that well.
Should have put a slide into it for anyone who wants to go down.
Big doom slide over in the northwest corner. It's all become too much. All right, then fine. I enjoyed your pitch as well. It's holding up well, better than last year.
Your pitch. Your
fancy pitch and your drainage. Well done. No, it's looking great. It has to be said. Go on then. Who are we going to have as hero of the week?
I mean, the ground staff.
Dallas just about. Well, Dallas and James both got the equal volume of nominations.
I mean, think Dallas. It seemed like he was risking a broken arm with the way he fell, and I can only imagine he was saved by the soft cushion of the turf that he landed upon. So maybe
it's just a big sand. It's a big sand pit. It's professional turf, isn't it? It's just got loads of sand underneath it.
For saving Stuart Dallas's precious forearms.
Oh, well done! You put some sand down. Very good.
And also to kind of redress the balance of this completely unrequired, unnecessary attack.
But I should say, I think the pitch looks great, and I'm really proud of the work that you've done. And I was fascinated by following the pictures during the summer.
Well, there you go. For a summer of pleasure and a winter of quality grass, why don't you support your claims to be able to tolerate our ground staff by nominating them as heroes and giving them the award?
Fine, whatever. Yeah, okay. Well done.
Congratulations.
Well, I love your turf. That's all we've got this week. We've got the turf is the high point of the week. Wow.
Well, he didn't do anything wrong, did it? That's the thing.
No.
We can think of no real criticism.
Definitely not responsible for all those hamstring injuries.
It's like the old joke about why is the pitch so good? It's because they put tons of shit on it every week, etc.
Hey, there we go. Is that it for this week then?
Yeah, I'll do, won't it? Let's move on.
Let's forget this ever happened. Well,
let's go and watch Brendan in action for the USA. See how good he is.
Yeah, and then
against Ramon Nunez's Honduras.
And then when we don't sign him, and we record, let's have a look. Oh, we're recording the day after the deadline closes next week, so we'll have a full non-transfer roundup, and we can talk about the grass even more.
I think we should do a full 24-hour live stream of not signing anyone prior to this. Matt Smith got a move, didn't he, actually, in Moscow? Did you see that?
He's gone to Salford City, joining... do you know who else plays for Salford City who used to play for us? I'll give you one guess each.
It's not Scott Wotton, but he's who I would have gone for.
Borthwick Jackson.
Again, if you read propaganda like our excellent and valued TSP Plus subscribers, you would guess this immediately, that it was Tom Elliott. And not only that, but he scored the only goal in a 1-0 victory over our hated, bitter rivals, Port Vale, a few days before Matthew Smith joined.
Just realised we've neglected to mention the 49ers victory in the playoffs, because they won, didn't they? They beat the Packers.
They can have a mention when we win. I'm not dedicating any times when we've lost. It means nothing to me.
But it's good though, isn't it? Because if they're in a good mood, they might say, "Oh yeah, go on, here's an extra $5 million. Go get X, Y, or Z in your transfer market." That's how it works, isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, right. Well done, 49ers, and good luck in the next round of the playoffs. I think that's next weekend, isn't it? So we can get consumed by that because there's no of our version of football.
I mean, I can tell you now, I'm not going to get consumed by it.
Oh, yeah, happy bunny, aren't we? Right, well, we'll wrap it up there for this week then. Cheers for watching. Cheers for listening. See you next week.
The Square Ball Podcast.